Today we're going to try a whole new format for our YouTube channel. Darrick and I are going to have a podcast style where it's just a casual conversation and we've got a million topics. We talk about an hour a day a lot of weeks, but we decided that we would record one of these conversations and just kind of be casual and talk about some of these income annuities, because this is a product that has been on the market forever, right, Darrick? But they've just gotten a lot better lately. And like, who is buying these things? I mean, we see a whole different cohort of people buying it than in the past.
Yeah, I guess the current period we're in right now is just the thawing out of the annuity industry, because it's been an ice age for 15 years. So, annuities, especially the income annuities, they're tied to the fixed rate market. So once the financial crisis hit in 2007, 2008, what did the Fed do? They just started cutting interest rates. And then they left them there. If you look at it, they pretty much left them near 1-2%, or even like 0.5% for 15 years. So like the insurance companies, when they take the money, take your premiums, they go invest it in the 10-year treasuries, these fixed assets. And if those rates are only giving them 1%, they don't have a whole lot of money to play with to make these products compelling. But once the the inflation crisis hit in 2022, once inflation started going up, these annuities, they got a lot better. They got 5-10x better than they were. So that's kind of why we're making the videos, and that's why they've really come back in vogue, is a really useful financial planning tool for people who are retiring.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at our YouTube channel, we've been making videos for well over 10 years, I think like 15 years. Some of our oldest videos, we have not been pitching annuities for 15 years because they weren't a good product for many of those years. And so, the problem that we're noticing now with a lot of our long-term care clients, and I guess I should step back, if you're just watching this, we do long-term care planning for people in all 50 states. We've worked with literally hundreds of thousands of families through our website and sold tens of thousands of policies. But what we've noticed lately is that people are really concerned, rightfully so, about running out of money. Like, you're in retirement, you've got this big nest egg, but what if something happens, whether it's long-term care, inflation, there's all these risks that can hit you. And the biggest one is the market, right? Everybody's way over-invested in the stock market right now.
Yeah, that's kind of going back to the, it used to be like, financial crisis in 2008, people had a mix of bonds and stocks, but with the Fed funds rate being near 1, it almost artificially forced people to have way more money in stocks than they probably should have, because, you can just look at the past 25 years. We've had several boom and bust. We had the .com bubble, where, it went down, 40-50%. Then we had the 2007-2008 financial crisis, another 40-50% hit. I think 2015 was down a little bit. 2020 COVID, up, bust, back up. And then the most recent was the inflation crisis in 2022. I think the NASDAQ was down 40%. So that's kind of the problem for people who, if you're 40 doing this, 30, 40, you have time to make up. But if you're starting to retire and starting to draw money from your investments, if you have to start drawing money when the market's down 40%, that means you're selling your stocks at a 40%, you're selling it at a low. So these annuities.
We love stocks. We are not encouraging anyone to get out of stocks. We are just, the point I think we want to discuss at least is, does it make sense to reallocate just a sliver of your portfolio into something that provides that guaranteed income, just because the products are so good right now? They may not always be this good. They haven't always been this good, but we find ourselves at a moment in time where they are pretty good. But we love stocks. We're not trying to talk people into selling all their stocks. We're big stock guys. I've been reading the Wall Street Journal since I was 16 years old. I mean, you're not talking me out of stocks.
Yeah, yes, you have. I can vouch for that. Yeah. So stocks definitely should be a part of a portfolio. But these equity index annuities that have these income riders, they still allow you to participate in the stock market through these funds. I mean, there's a Fidelity, there's a Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, these funds inside them. It's just they'll give you a safety net of, right now that safety net is a guaranteed 8% compound return for the next 10 years. With the A+ company, there are some other companies that will go as high as 9% if you're okay with a maybe A or A- company.
Not worth getting an extra percentage by taking a much lower rated company, I don't think.
Exactly, yeah. So if you just stick with the 8% guaranteed, they will guarantee you 8% compounded return on the income side, and you can choose to turn on that income anywhere from the first year all the way up to the 10th year or beyond. And the longer you defer that, the higher that income is going to be paid, and the income is guaranteed to be paid for life. Kind of going back to your point, Drew, a lot of people, they're concerned about needing long-term care, and that's kind of why we cut our teeth in the financial industry getting started in the long-term care space. So we've heard a lot of the concerns as people age. They're worried about of needing long-term care and having to spend down their nest egg. But we also heard that, hey, I'm worried about that. My grandma's 90, my mom lived to be 95. I'm worried that I'm going to run out of money. So that's where these lifetime income annuities can come into play, because they're going to pay as long as you're alive.
Yeah, I just literally right before we got on this call, I was on the phone with a client out in Texas. They're farmers. They just do row crops out in Texas, and we come from a family of farmers as well. Darrick and I are cousins, in addition to business partners, and we know a lot of farmers have a lot of, you could call it equity. They've got a lot of net worth, but it's tied up in the farm. And so, her point was, we need a little bit of extra income should we need long-term care or not. See, this is not just a long-term care solution. This is a life solution in terms of what you can spend the money on. She said, we just want a little assurance that we've got, a little bit of extra money coming in, every month. It doesn't have to be a huge payday. We're not talking $100,000 a year. It's, let's cover the fixed costs that we've got every month. We know what they are. We know what they'll be, the mortgage, the utilities, things like that, right?
Yeah. And it's like, if a person has, $2 million portfolio, most clients we talk with, they probably have 90% of it in stocks. So all we're saying is, still keep it, 50, 60% of your assets still in stocks, but you could carve off, in that example, $800,000 to $1 million. You can put them in these equity index annuities. They're going to guarantee your principal. And then on the income side, they're going to guarantee that $1 million, an 8% compounded return for the next 10 years. And you can choose to turn on that income at any point. Now, if we do have another financial crisis and all your money's in the equities, if you had a $2 million portfolio and you got a 40% correction, which we're going to have another correction. We don't know when, but it's going to happen again.
We know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We've seen it over and over again. And they don't always recover like in 2-3 months like they did after COVID.
They don't.
So much inflation, they did it wrong.
Yeah, because if you have $2 million and you get hit with a 40% cut, now you're down to 1.2 million. You still need money to live off of. So now you're having to sell some of your stocks at a 40% loss, versus if you had, say, half your money in an income and annuity, that's kicking off that income. So the other half of your portfolio is still growing. It'll still, basically, you don't have to sell those stocks, and you can give it time to recover, because it will recover. It will recover. It's just, it might not recover, like you said, in 3-4 months. It might take a year to recover. But at the same time, you're drawing income from your annuity side versus having to sell your stocks.
Yeah, you're not having to sell your stocks, at a low. You can reposition into something. Again, we're at a point in time where the market's at all-time highs right now. You can reposition during an all-time high and part of it into this. So, here's my thing. And again, we're doing this podcast format. We're not trying to sell something, but the insurance companies, they don't wake up every morning and say, hey, let's just give free money to all our clients. Like, let's explain how the income annuities actually work. What are some of the gotchas people should look out for, and that kind of thing, because not every annuity is created equal. I've got software with 400.
Yeah, I know. And it's kind of, and that's kind of our specialty is, we work for you, not the insurance company. So our job is to sift through all 400 and find the diamonds, because there's always diamonds in the rough, but you got to sift through a lot of companies. And gosh, I'm aging myself. I have a quarter century experience in this industry, just sifting through all the companies to find the really best products for our clients. And so, I guess some of the things to look at is going to be financial strength of the companies, because the higher the financial strength rating, the better benefits they give to the clients. Also, I always get wary of companies that pay us the highest commission, because I know for a fact that some of these lower no-name companies, they have to pay a higher commission to the agents to get the agents to sell it. And so when they do that, they're paying the agent more commission, but they're giving the client lower cap rates, because these cap rates are what drive the interest that you're going to get in your pocket or into your annuity. And so you really want to pay attention. The quality companies tend to pay the agents less commission and give you more benefits.
Yeah, and I think, we have clients that have been in some of these products from the last time they were good, 15 years ago. A lot of the names are the same. A lot of the same high quality companies are still doing these things. What I'm going to do is put up on the screen just kind of an example of, and I'm not going to mention a specific product name just for, just to keep them anonymous, but I'll put up on the screen just an example of how one of these things works if you buy it and then decide to defer your income. So and I think there's no better way to really illustrate how this works than with a graph. And I'm going to be turning on a couple of other features here as I walk through this. But let's just look at the baseline. So because this policy has what's called a roll-up, it's going to have a guaranteed floor of an increasing over the first 10 years income amount. So what this means is this is based off a 60-year-old putting in a $500,000 premium into this annuity, and if they just turned around in the second year and took an income, they'd get $38,000 a year for life. But if they're willing to be patient and wait, you can see there's a couple of step ups that are pretty significant on the guaranteed value. One would be if you could wait 5 years, which say you're 60 years old and you want to start turning on an income when you turn 65, you're going to have almost right at $50,000 a year in income guaranteed. This is just the guaranteed number. We're going to look at the non-guaranteed values that these products illustrate based off of past performance, which doesn't have anything to do with the future, but it is noteworthy in a lot of cases. But really, you get the most bang for your buck if you can go out to that 10-year wait. So this particular policyholder would wait until they're age 70 and then turn on a $68,800 annual income for the rest of their life. They lived to 90 years old. That's over $1.3 million worth of income payments coming in. And the thing is, it's the assurance that you're not going to outlive your money. You could live to 90, you could live to 100, we could have longevity benefits, etc. But now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the non-guaranteed values. These are straight off of the illustration. We'd be glad to prepare this for anyone. This product has an index where you don't have to worry about losing principal, but you can potentially gain some upside from the market. And if we look at their non-guaranteed values, we can see they track pretty close together initially. And the reason why that is because the market hasn't had time to really grow. Now, as we get closer to the end of this 10-year growth rate, we can see it really diverges over on this non-guaranteed. So, by the 10th year, which is really when you would want to take advantage of this, 10th or 11th year, you've got almost twice as much money coming in on that non-guaranteed amount. Again, the floor is your blue level. That's your worst case scenario. That's if there's no growth in the stock market, things are, pretty bad. And the green is a hypothetical. And maybe the reality is somewhere in the middle. Maybe you only have $100,000 annual income, but your floor is guaranteed at $68,000. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing. You are able to receive increased payments when the covered person, which could be either spouse, if you've got a joint policy, or whoever this is written on, is confined to a qualified care center as defined on the rider. So they will actually double these benefit amounts. Let's look at the non-guaranteed if you need to go into a qualified care center. So think something kind of like a nursing home. This is not long-term care insurance. I want to be clear about that. However, if you get into a qualified care center, like a nursing home or assisted living type place, as defined in the rider, which we can go over those definitions with someone if they're curious, you've got a non-guaranteed amount of $262,000 to help cover that cost of care. So this policy does a really good job of covering some of the biggest risks that a lot of seniors face in retirement. And I think the graph really shows it. But my favorite thing about it is we don't have to do any hypotheticals. We can just look at a guaranteed number and say, you're collecting, upwards of $70,000 a year if you're able to defer taking that income. And like we've said earlier, that means that you can comfortably live, you can invest your investment side of your house in the stock market without having to worry about a 40 or 50% decline in stock prices wiping out your ability to pay your bills. What we want to do is try to set this income so that it matches what your fixed costs are and give you a little bit of extra if possible. And that means your fixed costs are covered in retirement for as long as you live. And that's the goal here. So just wanted to show that real quick. Income. So that's another kind of, I don't want to say it's a caveat, but it's something people should be aware of. The way you can get the best bang for your buck out of one of these annuities is if you're willing to let the annuity grow for a couple of years, because they've got that 8%. In this example, I'm going to show it's an 8% what we call roll-up, which means that premium is growing at 8%. So the longer you can defer taking that income, the better. And we'll give some specific examples too for different age ranges, because if you buy one of these when you're 55 versus 65 versus 75, it's going to drastically change how it works. Now, we think it makes sense for all those age ranges, but it's certainly better if you can get a few years ahead of time. So in this example that we're looking at right here, you can see, I've got the numbers here on the screen. You can see the difference it makes, even if you can just wait a couple of years, or look here at like 5 years, and then the maximum we should point out is all the way over here to 10 years. If you can defer for 10 years, you can really max out that 8% guaranteed roll-up that they're giving right now, that growth rate.
Yeah, so and we realize that not everybody can get an annuity in their 50s because they have kids or getting through college. But to your point, that the earlier you can kind of set one up, the more years you're going to get have that the income compounding at the 8%. So the longer you can defer. And one thing I wanted to talk about, Drew, is financial advisors. Because pretty much everybody who's watching this, they have some type of financial advisor. And financial advisors, they typically, they're called I don't know, in my opinion, I think a lot of them are a little bit too aggressive in the stock market. They have too much of your money in stocks. And a lot of times advisors, they want to give you your own money in small pieces. They almost want to give you crumbs of your own money. But, we want our clients, we want you to have fun with your retirement and actually spend your money. We want you to have fun, take travel, give it to the grandkids, just really enjoy retirement, not just, live off some, just not have a feeling that you're almost begging your advisor to give you your own money.
Let's just stop right. Why do you think it is? Why do you think advisors want to give out crumbs like that? One theory I would say is, follow the money. They get paid based on, a lot of them get paid based on, whether it's directly or indirectly, they might get bonuses from their company based on how big everyone's portfolios are. But then I think it's even maybe not even that much of a conspiracy. They've seen these market declines and they know what it's like when you have a retiree who's having to sell stocks that are down 40%. It's painful. And so they want you to have the biggest nest egg you possibly can so that when it crashes, you're not screwed over.
Yeah, I know exactly. But there's a way around that too. It's like if you don't have all your eggs in the stock market, you can put it in these products we're talking about. And again, you have a guaranteed income for life. So you can take that trip. You can give some money to your grandkids. You can, go out to eat. You don't have to think twice about eating out on the weekend. You can do whatever you want. And like you said, have fun. We want our clients to have fun. Because if you think about it, you can do two things with money. You can spend it or you can give it away. So that's really, what you can do with the money. And we want our clients to spend it. And if you have a product in place in your portfolio that's going to guarantee you a payment for as long as you live. You can even have it set up to where it's going to pay as long as your spouse lives too. You're never going to run out of money with that piece. And then it also kind of frees your advisor up to do his or her thing. And maybe you can be a little bit more aggressive on that side because you have the safety net of this product is a backup. So maybe my opinion, I think the AI boom is going to be with us for the next 20 years. Maybe you can expose your money a little bit more to the NASDAQ. So because you have this as a safety net.
That's a good point. And, let's talk about the future for a second, because we've talked about these guaranteed growth rates and things. There's still in the back of my mind, maybe it's like once burnt, twice shy, but I'm still a little concerned about future inflation, especially in the near term. So let's just talk about how these particular options, how do they manage for the future and inflation? And one way is, in addition to your guarantees on these products, part of the money is indexed to stock indexes. And if we have inflation, that's going to inflate everything. It's going to inflate how much money Walmart makes, Amazon, Costco, all the places that we shop, they make more money. The money might not be worth as much, but their stocks are also typically going to rise in a lot of those scenarios. And so with the index side of these options, you actually have the possibility to beat out the guaranteed side, and the insurance company is going to give you whichever side's the highest. So, we have a solid baseline, but then we can kind of have a hedge against inflation with the income side as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so they're essentially what they're doing, how an equity index annuity works. I'll kind of go over that because it's kind of Greek to a lot of people. Is you're not directly investing in stocks. The insurance company will take they take your 500K. Say you give an insurance company $500,000. They don't go buy $500,000 worth of stocks. They'll take the 500K, they'll go buy treasuries. So if you give them $500,000 in an insurance company right now, they can get 5-6% right now? Would you say, Drew? And
Yeah, 5-6%.
So
at best right now.
Yeah, so they guarantee from these treasuries, they can guarantee to get $25,000 of interest guaranteed a year. What they do is they just take the interest, not your principal. That's how they can guarantee your principal against losses. They'll go buy options, which are just contracts to buy these index or these basically a mutual fund in the future at certain prices. Now, if the mutual fund, if the market goes up, these options increase in value exponentially, and then they'll pass that interest on to your account. Now, on the flip side, if the market goes down, the value of those options go to zero. They don't go negative though; they just go to zero. So, in good years, you're going to make money. In negative 20% years, you just get a 0% return on that side of your portfolio.
Yeah, and so when you get a quote for one of these policies, you have the option to pick from a selection of different indexes. And I think kind of our theory is to diversify across a couple different types of indexes, because ones that we thought were going to be home runs have done less than we thought they would, but they could bounce back. While at the other side of the coin, some of these S&P participation rates have done really well. So that's where we would work with each individual client, let them make the decisions, but give them some advice on how to allocate inside on this income annuity. Again, you've got your guaranteed side, but on your inflation hedge side, which is what I would call it. If the market does really well, we still want to participate in that. We don't want to be just sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, exactly. And inside, there's probably usually about 10 to 15 different buckets that you can put the money in. And you can reshuffle the deck every 1 or 2 years. So if you start out with like an S&P index and you feel like, hey, I want to be a little more aggressive and go into one of these funds, you can certainly do that. Or you can do a little bit in each and kind of diversify. You could do 10% in 10 different ones if you wanted to. So you can really get as granular as you want to inside these.
Yeah, most people do 3 or 4, but you can do 10. So I think if someone's watching this video and they're just curious, but they're not ready to like reach out to somebody, first of all, we don't give big heavy duty sales pitches. That's just not in our nature. But if someone's just curious about getting information, if you want to get specific information, we can certainly provide it. We'll put a link to our website. But we're also going to make videos for specific age ranges, like from age 50, 55, 60, etc. So if you go to our YouTube channel and search for that, you can take a look at an example. The only issue with that is these products do change. The interest rates that are inside of them change regularly. So, we try to keep things up to date, but the best way to find out what kind of income you can get and how much it's going to, what the premiums are going to be and that kind of thing is to just reach out to us and we can quickly run an illustration.
Yeah, and so, we're a virtual agency essentially. So, we're not going to come out to your house and give you a pitch at your kitchen table. We'll email this to you. We'll FedEx you a hard copy binder if you'd like, and you can kind of review it on your time.
Yeah. So I think we've covered kind of the basis of, why people look at these. There's that fear of outliving your money. Why we're actually out here talking about them, because they've gotten so much better in the last little bit. We might not be talking about them 5 years from now. Everybody who bought it now is locked in, but they might go back to not being as good as they were. So we just really feel like this is kind of a unique Venn diagram of people who need an income guaranteed in retirement and an actually decent product finally on the market.
Yeah, and one last thing I want to leave the people with. There's a lot of people out there who do have annuities, existing annuities, that they bought when interest rates were low. So just like if with the mortgages, when interest rates decline, and say you had a 6% mortgage, if interest rates decline to 3%, you can refinance your mortgage and get a better deal. With annuities, if you bought an annuity years ago when the Fed funds rate was low, you can refinance your annuity and you can get 5x better annuity right now. And you can often just do it with no fee. If you're out of the surrender period, or there's even companies that will pay you a bonus to earn your business. So think about refinancing your annuities too if you have an existing annuity, and we could do a comparison and see if we could find you something better. So Drew, for people out there who's watching this who want to take action, what do they do?
All right, so we're going to put a QR code on the screen if you want to scan that with your phone. If you're watching this on a computer or your phone, you can just click into the show notes and we'll put a link to our website. But essentially what we want to do is have a quick kind of, someone who wants really specific information, we want to have a quick 5-10 minute conversation to figure out what it is they want and how we can help them. And then we're going to run it across those premium companies that we feel like have some of the best options on the market. And we'll, like you said, we'll email them some quotes. If you're not ready to take that step, just keep digging through our videos and our channel. We try to be like, out there and providing transparency into kind of how we're thinking about these products and what all the options are on the market, because there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. Yeah.
And Drew, for those who are a little bit more old school and they like reading material, what's our website?
We are ltctree.com. And we're also ltcfacts.com. So we've got two different, whether you're looking for a long-term care side or an annuity side, we've got two different avenues that our clients can reach us at.
Yeah, the one we just built out that probably has the most in-depth, because those are two great sites, would be annuityfacts.com. That has a lot more, just kind of, if you want to read about what we just talked about, that has a lot of information there. So go to annuityfacts.com, and if you want more information, you can find us on there, or just thumb through our videos. We got a lot of information out here.
If you're really old school and you want to just talk to us on the phone, we're going to put our phone number on the screen. I'll save that to the end when my high school daughter is going to edit this video, so she'll be the one popping the number on the screen.
Well, great. Hey, well, it's great catching up with you, Drew. For those, thanks for your time who finished this video with us, and come back for more. We'll be here.
All right.